Okay, welcome to part two. So we're gonna go ahead and complete this with the carbon and nitrogen cycle. But last time in part one, we ended the auction cycle, and we said the auction cycle is really the first step in the carbon cycle, and vice versa. So we're back to this word here, photosynthesis, where plants take in the carbon dioxide, they use the sunlight um, the energy from the sunlight to reconfigure these molecules and make them into this thing called sugar and give off oxygen. And then we animals, like we said, we consume this sugar and we break it down in the presence of oxygen, and then we give off carbon dioxide and water. So they're, like I said, they're both parts of the same cycle. So here are your notes. The next thing we talked about is that there's always been carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. That's not an unnatural thing, nor is it a dangerous thing by itself. The dangerous thing about what we've experienced since the Industrial Revolution is that human technology has allowed us to tap into these stored up forms of carbon. And when we burn them as fossil fuels, they do release carbon that was locked up under the earth for millions of years into the atmosphere. So in our Earth history, we talked about how fossils, how an animal can die or a plant can die. It, excuse me, it can become trapped under the earth, and as it decomposes in an environment of very little oxygen, it becomes what we call a fossil fuel. Now, there are three types of fossil fuel: oil, which is a liquid; natural gas is like propane, so it's actually gas; and then coal is a solid, so solid, liquid, and gas. All three of these, when you burn them, they burn very, very dark. Well, particularly coal and oil, and that's because they contain high levels of carbon. And what happens is that when the carbon that was stored under the ground for millions of years is now in the atmosphere, that's at a much accelerated or at an accelerated rate that speeds up global warming. And we spoke about why global warming can be such a big danger to us because it will melt the ice caps and cause the collapse of our entire ecosystem. So this melting is called a greenhouse effect. So guys, you got to go back to Earth history. You got to connect your old lessons with your new lessons. So this is the equation I want you to memorize. So plants take in carbon dioxide, CO2. They add to it water, H2O, and using the sun's energy, they recombine all these ingredients, just like baking a cake. You put egg, sugar, flour, water by themselves, not really yummy. But once you use the heat from the oven, you recombine these elements or these ingredients into something brand new, hopefully chocolate cake, but in this case, sugar or glucose. So C6H12O6. It's the same carbon, C is C, the hydrogen, H to H, and the oxygen, O to O. So you're not creating anything new. What you're doing is making something or recombining something. Keeping in mind, matter cannot be created or destroyed, but it can change. Okay, so you're not making something out of thin air. Plants recombine these things into a new compound and then they give off oxygen. So this is where the carbon cycle is in. See the C, that's the carbon, but it's also where the oxygen cycle. If I were to reverse this arrow, it will be what we call respiration, where we animals breathe in the oxygen, we eat the sugar, we break it down to release water and carbon dioxide. This is an important part. So um, in detail, if you're looking at your carbon cycle, there's always carbon in the air. That's a natural thing. It gets removed from the air, and keep that word removed, by photosynthesis. Plants take in carbon, and not just the plants on land, keeping in mind that also includes your phytoplankton and your bacteria. So plants take in this carbon and they store it. As long as this tree is growing, this tree is going to keep absorbing carbon dioxide, which is good for and give off oxygen. That's why trees and is so important. On the flip side of that is that sometimes these trees die. As they decompose, some of that carbon is released. Okay, so let's say these grass are plants. So these grass are doing the same thing, photosynthesis. Here comes along your primary consumer, also known as a herbivore. As he consumes or as he eats the grass, he digests this sugar and he farts and he releases and he does what all animals do. And that process is called cellular respiration. And some of that carbon dioxide is released. So it's removed through photosynthesis. It's released through cellular respiration. Okay, those are the two big parts of it. At a smaller level, we have this decomposition. So these two things would have kept the earth in balance, the rate of plants and animals going in balance. The reason why it's unbalanced now is because of the burning of fossil fuels. Okay, so as we dig up oil, as we dig up coal, as we find natural gas deposits and we burn these things, these levels of carbon dioxide were stored under the ground and safe. They were locked away. We find them, we burn them to power our cities, our vehicles, and we release this carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. This is the part that nature did not account for, the human technology part of it, or the human use of what we consider negative greenhouse effect technology. Okay, if there was no humans of burning this, then the carbon dioxide and the oxygen would always balance each other off through photosynthesis and cellular respiration. So on your test, keep in mind that the burning of fossil fuels, this word called emission, which means air pollution, is what is offsetting it, offsetting the balance. So pause, rewrite that, memorize that. That's the biggest part of the lesson. Not the biggest part, but the big part of the lesson. So what is a possible result of deforestation? So if you're cutting down trees, what can happen? Okay, answer that question. Number two said, what gas is removed from the atmosphere in photosynthesis? So I gave you these answers, so hopefully you were paying attention. Some of y'all laughing like, paying attention. Oh, supposed to pay attention. All right, so last part of the lesson is something called the nitrogen cycle. Now, if you watch the videos that I post on the Ed Puzzle, you know that nitrogen is in the air. Weirdly enough, 70% of all the air in the atmosphere all around us is nitrogen gas. But even though all plants and animals need nitrogen, let me repeat that. All plants and animals need it. And that's plants. Okay? All animals need it, we cannot use it. So we need it, but we can't use it. So how does this nitrogen get into our ecosystem or better yet, our food chain? So what you got to remember is that even though we need it and it's all around us, there are these special bacteria. And these bacteria have a very simple name. They're called nitrogen fixing bacteria. In other words, they turn nitrogen into something we can use. They fix it. So these bacteria are able to absorb nitrogen from the air and they turn it into something called nitrates. Okay, and if you did your web quest, you'll come across this word nitrates. Okay, and so what's happening is that the atmospheric nitrogen is now turned from a gas to a solid. The bacteria do that. Now, once you have it as a solid, now it can be used within the food chain. So how does this happen? Okay, so follow along me here. You have this nitrogen in the air. It's doing what it's doing, minding its own business. There are these bacteria in the soil, and these bacteria, they live in a mutualistic, symbiotic relationship with various plants. Okay, you remember this from your estimate. They live within these roots and they get shelter from these legume trees, plants, and they give to these legumes nitrates. So These guys live there, they get shelter, and then these guys get nitrogen. They say that if you were to eat a handful of almonds, it would give you more protein than eating a steak. And here's why. The reason why a animal like a cow or chicken gives you protein is because they are eating the legumes. But because they are eating the legumes, they're still the primary consumer. However, plants like soy, almonds, cashews, they're getting the direct nitrates. So they actually have more protein in them than even beef can. So we have these bacteria, and they're putting these nitrates into the soil. Once they're in the soil, not only can the legumes use them, but any plant around them can use them. The only other way that nitrogen can go from a gas into a solid, weirdly enough, is by lightning. There's so much electricity in a lightning strike, it actually causes the atmospheric nitrogen to recombine into nitrates. But that's a very rare thing. It can happen, but it's rare. These nitrogen fixing bacteria are really the stars of the show. So here we have nitrogen going into nitrates. Once it's in the nitrates, it can be used by us. So we eat the plants or we eat the cow. Now, once it's being consumed by an animal, the nitrates become what we call protein. And protein is important for building muscle and for building body parts. It's not just for bodybuilders. I know some of y'all think, you get super strong, you need protein, but just to move your muscles, even if you're skinny, everyone has muscles. And protein is what helps your body heal itself as well. Okay? So, I'll repeat that. It goes from the air. It's now as nitrogen in the air. It's now into nitrates. N-I-T-A, sorry, there we go. Nitrates. Once it's at this level, it can be consumed by primary consumers or even omnivores, or even us humans. A lot of vegetarians get their protein from eating this stuff. Now, when we die, or if we defecate or we poop, that stuff is full of nitrogen. That's why people buy horse manure and cow manure as fertilizer. Okay? And so that will be now decomposed. It goes from being biotic plants. So it went from abiotic to biotic. Now it's pooping. The bacteria is going to decompose it, break it back down into the soil. Now, if it stays in the soil, it never becomes a part of the air again. It simply goes back and can be reused by plants. But keep in mind, once again, besides the legume plants, legume, which stands for pods, your peas, your beans, your soy, all other plants need some way of finding nitrogen, and that's where fertilizer comes in. Those guys have that bacteria living in their roots, so they're the only ones that have direct access to it. So your nitrogen cycle, to recap, is in the air. Everybody needs it. Plants, animals, everybody wants it. But only the bacteria or lightning can put it in our food chain. So it goes from a gas into a solid. In the solid form, plants and animals can now directly access it. Once we eat it, it goes a part of our body. We get bigger, we get stronger. Sometimes we poop or sometimes we die. The bacteria break it down and allow that cycle to happen again. So that's your carbon and your nitrogen cycle. Hope that helped. It better have helped. So here's your review questions. Which organisms need nitrogen to live? That's the easy one. When organisms die. So I've recapped all this stuff. What you guys just are going through are one of the ways we're going to try and what we call flip this lesson. I'm hoping you guys are mature enough to watch these videos, fill your notes in, get the content. You can ask me questions as you go through it, but you can also rewind it, break it down, watch it at home, and so take ownership of your learning. And then hopefully we can do more stuff in class because we're not having to talk and play and me shout and scream at you guys. All right, it's been fun. I'm going to watch some basketball, so See y'all tomorrow.